Dirty work on a Tuesday afternoon. Adam Copeland, Larry Kruger in with me on a Tuesday. Tim Webb hanging out as well and joined by our 49ers insider from NBC Sports Bay Area. You can see him on our video chat as well. It's Matt Maiocco. What's going on, Matt? How are you, man?
I'm doing well. How are you guys doing?
We're doing good, man. We've been talking a lot about this Brock Purdy play or how he played last night in the first half. I said after the game, I didn't think it was an ugly win because I thought they did outplay the Panthers in total. I mean, the Panthers were 1 of 7 on third down. Only getting 7 opportunities on third is kind of alarming. And they never really did anything to be threatening. I thought they were just in the game. But I do think they were fortunate to come away with a win in the way that they did, considering how Brock played. How did you evaluate last night's game? It was a weird game.
Yeah, no, I'd agree with that. I mean, I think that the 49ers gave the Panthers plenty of opportunities in the first half. Purdy with the 3 interceptions, but the worst interception of the game was on the other side that really thwarted the Carolina Panthers' ability to go out and win that game. So as poorly as Brock played, the 2 interceptions, his first 2 interceptions in particular, the guy on the other side, the number 1 overall pick from 2023, probably played worse. At least Purdy was able to string together some first downs. They did pretty well on third downs. Purdy picked up a couple of first downs on fourth down conversions, and really there wasn't much positive to say about Bryce Young's game at all. But hey, let's face it, 49ers, there's stuff for them to clean up, a lot of stuff for them to clean up. Wasn't the kind of game that you would expect or you would want from the guy who just signed to a franchise record contract. So he has to play better. He has to be more reliable, more steady. That wasn't the case last night. It's only his 4th game of the season, but it's getting to that part of the season where the 49ers are going to make a run for the playoffs, and I think they will. I think they have the schedule that kind of lines up for them to get into the postseason, but they need more from Brock Purdy, no doubt about it.
And the turnovers are tough. I mean, that's the thing. The 3 turnovers, and it wasn't that and I understood what they meant when they were like, hey, we made, the decisions were good decisions, but ultimately it's the execution, and Brock just said it. I mean, it's kind of one of the things I really like about Brock is that he's pretty candid. He's pretty honest with himself. He's not one of these guys that gets defensive. He's like, yeah, I just didn't have enough on those particular throws. And I don't know. I mean, and when he was asked about, hey, was it related to the toe? He quickly said no. But Matt, I think it goes to like one of those rules on the wall in the locker room that says no excuses. And he's just so wired to say it's not the toe, but it is the toe, isn't it?
I don't know. And I mean, I think that Brock, put it this way, if there was an injury there, it would be kind of taking an area of his game where he can't afford to give anything back. In other words, everybody knows he doesn't have the strongest arm in the NFL. And so if that is lacking, the arm strength or just his ability to drive the ball down the field, you'd be taking an area of his that's good enough, but not if he's losing a little something on it. The way I looked at it, Larry, was that what separated him throughout that 2023 season and even the last few games of 2022. I think it was his anticipation, it was his decisiveness, and it was his accuracy.
Yep.
And on those first two interceptions, I think all 3 areas were lacking. I mean, it's quite clear that with the routes that were called, the plays that were called, and the defense, what they were showing, the right play was to make the throw that he made in those 2 instances. The problem was he just waited a split second too long to make those throws, and then when he did make them, he didn't put it out there in an area where his receiver could go get it. He was basically throwing it to the spot that he meant to throw it to if he had made the read initially and got it there. So I can see where that's the way he's coached. That's the way he was supposed to do. The second interception, if you just stop it, you stop it when he's actually throwing the pass. Well, then, you see all these other options that he had that seemed much more, much better options at that time. But again, if he makes the throw when he's supposed to make it, according to their playbook and the way he is taught, those were the right throws to make. But it just wasn't coming out on time. It wasn't coming out with anticipation and where his guy could go get it and nobody else could.
Talking to Matt Maiocco, our 49ers insider from NBC Sports Bay Area on the UMA guest line. 5 turnovers forced by the defense in the last 2 weeks. 2 big interceptions yesterday by Jair Brown. Best game as a 49er. How do you evaluate the defense against inferior opponents like this? Because, again, there were some really bad play calls and some bad decisions yesterday. Yeah. Obviously, 47 completions from Jacoby Brissett last week is a huge accomplishment, but they were trying to get back in it. How do you evaluate where they are now, considering the lack of talent or the amount of talent they've lost and the talent they're seeing on the other side?
Yeah, I think that the defense has its very obvious shortcomings that it seemed to show up every other week. And this was a week where the defense really stepped up. And now it's about the consistency. There weren't the breakdowns that we've seen occasionally here that we saw in the win against the Cardinals. So they've, despite not having much of a pass rush, despite not getting much pressure on the quarterback, their game last night was, I think, about as good as you could hope for. I don't think there was a defense in the NFL that wouldn't have taken what the 49ers defense put out there last night. Now it's a matter of doing it over and over again. They'll have to do it on Sunday in Cleveland because that figures to be a low-scoring game, possibly inclement weather and everything else. And 49ers offense going up against a really good defense. So I would agree. Jair Brown had his best game. I thought Mustafa played well, other than the play where he's playing center field in essence and started to move to his left and the pass went back to his right, the touchdown pass. But, he made some really good open field tackles, kept him out of the end zone the one time that led to the interception in the end zone, the other time where the Panthers had to settle for a field goal. So I thought the Panthers came into this game kind of on a hot streak with the quarterback who's thrown for, a franchise record yards one game. They had a running back who was hot, a wide receiver who was hot, and the 49ers defense really put the clamps down on those guys. So it was a very good performance considering, they're down to the third middle linebacker. We know the issues they've had with the pass rush, and the defensive backfield has kind of been up and down. Well, last night was definitely an up game for the entire defense.
It's funny. There's a couple guys on the team where there's just wild varieties of opinions on how good these players are. The fans seem like they really don't like Jair Brown. There's an awful lot of people who are like, I'm done with Jair Brown. He's done. He's awful. He's this, he's that. And yet if you talk to Shanahan, you can tell he likes Jair Brown a lot. And the 49ers have a much higher opinion of Jair than the fans do. What do you think, Matt? There's Siegel, there's Mustafa, there's Brown. I kind of felt like Brown and Mustafa last night kind of took a huge step forward. And the Niners need great play from their safeties, and they got it last night. I think Brown, I'm a big proponent of Brown. I have been for a long time. He was a great high school basketball player, New Jersey record holder in steals. He's got a great break on the ball. He loves it when I bring that up, by the way. He always like, he told me, go tell Darrell Luter. Tell Darrell Luter, man. I'm like, he's always talking trash. I'm like, yeah, Darrell, this guy's the career leader in New Jersey for steals. He's like, nah. Anyway, give me your thoughts. Why do you think the fans hate Brown so much, it seems?
I would assume the fans like him a lot better today than they did if they hated him. So, I don't know. I think a lot of it is, that the one draft. So that would have been the 2023 draft. 49ers didn't have a first-round pick, didn't have a second-round pick. So they take Jair Brown, and I think they traded up to get him. So even though he was a third-round pick, probably a lot of fans kind of considered him the first-round pick because he was their first selection. And the way that season ended, if the 49ers win that Super Bowl, he's being hailed as as a hero because he intercepted Patrick Mahomes there to start the third quarter, and the 49ers offense wasn't able to cash that in. So, yeah, I think the way this season started too, it certainly set up Jair Brown starting week one with Jason Pinnock while Malik Mustafa was out of action. And for Marquise Siegel, a rookie who didn't even participate in the offseason program because of an injury, for him to step in week one and be a starter, I think probably the fans, or my guess is anybody watching would have said, well, geez, he must have taken a significant step back. They must not like him if the rookie is out there starting. And I'm sure there was some issues, some discontent with just where he was taking his game for the 49ers to make that call early on. Well, then what happened was Jair Brown, in the practices that we don't see, in the meetings that we don't see, he did all the right things to the point where they started giving him a few crumbs here and there, go out and play a handful of snaps in big nickel or whatever the case may be. And he played well enough that he earned his way back into the starting lineup. So a lot of times when a guy who had been a starter leaves the starting lineup, he's gone forever because it really impacts these guys. But he really stuck with it. And now I think, it's been up and down. I don't think anybody would say it hasn't been up and down for almost every player on that defense. But boy, that game last night, I mean, that we'll see if he can keep that momentum going. But man, that was a huge shift in just kind of his momentum as a player and where he is in this defense. When they made the move, they started kind of juggling their safeties. I thought that there might be a time where they were just going to be moving guys in and out and trying to find that right combination. And it looks like now they certainly have found that right combination with Mustafa and Brown.
Talking to Matt Maiocco here, NBC Sports Bay Area, our 49ers insider. Before we let you go, Matt, I saw that Frank Gore named a semifinalist for the Modern Era Pro Football Hall of Fame. Roger Craig named a senior semifinalist for the Pro Football Hall of Fame. There's a lot of really good names. I think it's 26 semifinalists for the Modern Era. There's a lot of really good names, like guys who all deserve to be in there. Just your thoughts on these two guys and their chances this year.
Yeah, the Pro Football Hall of Fame changed its bylaws before last year to make it a lot more difficult to get in. So just to give you an example, last year there were 3 seniors finalists, a coach, and a contributor. And the only one of those 5 who got in, because it's all on the same ballot, they're all competing against each other. You can only vote for 3 of the 5, and then you need 80% of the vote to get in. The only one who got 80% of the vote last year was Sterling Sharp. So of the 5, 3 seniors, 1 coach, 1 contributor, he was the only one who made it. So this year, I'm hoping that Roger Craig is one of the seniors finalists. But even if he is, I think Belichick is now eligible from the coach category. And then the contributor, I don't know who that's going to be. I guess it could be Robert Kraft. So you'd still have the potential of only one of those 5 getting in. So it just makes it really difficult for the seniors to get in. And then on the other side, again, they've changed the criteria. They've made it harder for the modern era guys. Last year, 3 got in. Probably only 3 are going to get in this year as well. And when you look at that list that you referenced, man, I would think probably Breeze and Larry
Fitzgerald
and Larry Fitzgerald. Those are probably 2
Luke Kuechly and Suggs are out there.
Guys.
There's some really good.
A lot of good talent.
Vince Wilfork. There's big ones.
And even Adam Vinatieri. I think he has a lot of support as a kicker. Probably the most impactful kicker the NFL has ever seen. So I know. Well, I shouldn't say I know, but yeah, I'm going to go ahead and say it. Frank Gore is going to get in.
Yeah.
I just don't know if it's going to be this year, next year, or whenever. But there's no way in any logical world that the number 3 all-time leading rusher in NFL history doesn't get in at some point. I just can't guarantee you that it's going to be year 1.
I'm starting to think the 49ers are becoming the forgotten dynasty, when it comes to the Hall of Fame. I mean, you're getting Patriots in there. You're getting, the Steelers are incredibly well represented from the 70s. Roger Craig is the only running back on the team of the 80s, 90s, or 2000s who's not in the Hall of Fame. I mean, he's the original 1,000. If Walsh hadn't died prematurely, there's no doubt he would have made it his personal, goal to get Roger in. And Bill carried such clout within the sport. That would have been enough, and Roger would have been in by now. And to me, it's just a huge injustice that he's not in. We can talk about Frank Gore, and he's got the great numbers, but I mean, come on, Roger Craig is a Hall of Fame player. There's just no doubt.
Well, it's interesting you say that, Larry, because I just had this conversation a couple days ago when you talked about those dynasties and you referenced the Steelers and how many players they have in, the 49ers with their dynasty, the team of the 80s. And that was, largely seen as an offensive-driven team, although we all know that the defense was outstanding. And there are, a couple of defensive guys who made it in, Ronnie Lott and Fred Dean. But even with that offense, the dynasty, the only two guys from that era who are in the Hall of Fame from the 49ers offense are Joe Montana and Jerry Rice.
And Steve Young.
No offensive linemen. Yeah, but I'm talking about
the 80s.
Yeah. So from that team, only the quarterback and the wide receiver, no offensive lineman, no running back. And so, I mean, quite clearly, Roger deserves to be in. It's just, why it hasn't happened, I can't answer that. And hopefully it will, hopefully that'll be rectified here in short order.
I can't have Kraft going in before Craig. You know what I mean?
We're in the era of analytics, right? There's got to be some 49ers analytics person that could then go back and look at, because I mean, think about it. The greatest statistical force, the greatest statistical being in the history of this league is Jerry Rice. Yeah. And so by logic, it means that the guys who played with him, those guys' numbers were suppressed. So the Hall of Fame resumes of Brent Jones, John Taylor, and most notably Roger Craig, they're actually greater Hall of Fame resumes than they really actually statistically are. And I don't understand why people who run the Hall of Fame can't understand that. Roger Craig was arguably the greatest running back on the greatest Niner team that ever was, the 84 Niners, and scored three touchdowns in the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
And Joe got the MVP. So I Roger belongs in there. That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah, no, I agree. And there's no arguing that.
Yeah, Matt Maiocco, the voice you hear, 49ers Insider, NBC Sports Bay Area. Make sure you're reading him, listening to him, and watching him on NBC Sports Bay Area. Matt, have a great rest of your week. Happy Thanksgiving, man.
Okay, happy Thanksgiving to you too. Thanks, guys. I'll talk to you soon.
All right, we'll talk to you soon. All right, the great Matt Maiocco, who joins us